Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Efe Ajagba and Martin Bakole fight to a relatively entertaining 10-round draw. Listen, the fights I've seen this weekend, I just wanted to see a half-decent fight, and this was a half-decent fight. The scorecards and the decision, have to be honest, I felt Ajagba won this fight. In fact, I felt it was one of those fights that was relatively easy to score, sort of like 96-94, in favour of Ajagba, 6 rounds to 4, but the official verdict was a draw. Two judges had it 95-95, and I don't really see that personally. I know you're going to argue that, it's just one round's difference, but I felt the rounds were pretty clear to score. Maybe I'll watch it again, maybe I'll see it different, but listen, early on in this fight, Bakole was coming forwards as he does. He marauds forwards, low lead hand, he was jabbing to the body. Ajagba was fighting very disciplined, half step back, firing his own jab. His jab was sharper than Bakole's in the first sort of 3 rounds, and Ajagba early on was able to take advantage of that low lead hand from Bakole. He was firing over the top with his own right hand, but he put some speed on that right hand. He wasn't loading up with it. In fact, he was kind of mixing it up. Sometimes he would throw it with speed, sometimes he would try and get a bit more purchase on that right hand. But early on, the first, second and third rounds, I felt Ajagba outboxed Bakole from the outside. His right hand was the key punch. His right hand was the punch that was landing the most out of both fighters, whereas Bakole primarily was landing more so jabs to the body, some jabs to the head. He got through with a couple of flurries, but overall, I felt that the ring general, so to speak, was Ajagba. He was comfortable, he was leading on Bakole, and he was firing the right over the top and landing it, taking advantage of Bakole's porous defense and slow feet. In fact, the third round was quite interesting because it followed that pattern of Bakole following Ajagba and him getting caught with the right hand. In fact, in round 3, Ajagba actually uncorked a really good straight right, kind of like a pull counter right. Bakole walked right into it and it kind of rocked him. He was momentarily buzzed. He soon recovered though, and one thing I'll give Bakole credit for, he ended round 3 really well. He kind of pushed Ajagba back to the ropes and kind of uncorked with those combinations that we're used to seeing. Uppercuts, looping shots. He was trying to throw like that Gennady Golovkin weird overhand right that comes up and down on top of the skull. So he ended the third round quite well, Bakole. And I wondered at that point in time, is this now a turning point? Is this now going to be the pattern of a fight? And round 4, that was the pattern. Bakole just marauded forwards, was able to push Ajagba back against the ropes, and he had his way with him. Working the body, working the head. Ajagba was blocking shots and he was coming back. He was throwing punches off the ropes, but he couldn't really generate the power. And Ajagba was working him in the 4th round. And I wondered whether, Ajagba was now a sitting duck and that he couldn't move anymore. And I wondered whether Bakole was starting to stamp his impression on the fight. Ended round 3 well, had a good round 4, gave round 4 to Bakole. But no, round 5 comes and Ajagba starts boxing again. Jab, move, jab right hand, pull counter right hand, half step back. And Bakole in rounds 5, 6 and 7 was getting visibly frustrated. When Bakole would kind of like fall in with a shot and miss, or get caught with a jab, or get caught with a counter right, and then Ajagba would move, you'd see Bakole kind of stand in the ring and like just lift his arms up and say, come and fight, but Ajagba had his game plan pretty spot on. Again, he was taking advantage of Bakole's slow feet, and because Bakole was chasing this fight and because of his slow feet, he was often throwing punches out of range and he was falling in, particularly with his jab and particularly with his straight right. And that would just allow Ajagba to pop him with a jab or like a quick right hand, and he would make Bakole reset constantly, Rounds 5, 6 and 7, I scored for Ajagba. So apart from the fourth round, I've given every round to Ajagba. Last 3 rounds though, Ajagba, his punch output dropped, and there were more moments where he was on the ropes. So 8, 9 and 10, I scored all of these rounds to Bakole. Because again, the output dropped, he found himself on the ropes, and when Ajagba was on the ropes, he wasn't outlanding Bakole. He was throwing back, but again, those shots weren't as effective as Bakole's, and they weren't as plentiful as Bakole's. So Bakole was able to make this fight closer towards the end. I think he hurt Ajagba ever so slightly in round, I think it was round 9 or round 10 with a straight right. And yeah, he was just able to outwork Ajagba in the last sort of 3 rounds. And that made the fight close on paper, but I still felt it was an easy fight to score. So despite me having it 6 rounds to 4, I felt the draw scorecards were very harsh on Ajagba. I felt he fought a disciplined fight. I felt he fought the right fight. And I felt he did enough to win, you know? Yeah, I felt he did enough to win, personally. Maybe if I watch it back, I could find another round that you could give to Bakole. I don't know whether I want to call it a robbery, but I think I need to see it again. But I felt Ajagba was very hard done by, personally. But it was a decent fight, and listen, let's see it again, I guess. It's a draw, right? So they have to fight again. Not the most amazing heavyweight fight. Not as good as I thought it would be. Like, I thought somebody was going to get knocked out here, personally. But it was decent, and considering what we've seen this weekend, I think it's made this fight look better than maybe it was. But I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it, considering what I've been put through this weekend. But yeah, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.